Moving on now and taking a look at what's happening in the oil patch. Saudi Arabia revisiting talks with China to price some oil sales to the country in yuan. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Discussions have been on and off for about 6 years. It's not new, but they have ramped up due to the kingdom's anger over US security commitments, such as Washington's lack of support for the war in Yemen and the ongoing Iran nuclear talks. China buys over a quarter of Saudi oil exports, and the move could affect the US dollar's dominance of the global oil market and signal another pivot to Asia. A senior US official has called the idea unlikely and highly volatile and aggressive. That's according to reports. Meanwhile, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is making a trip to the Middle East today to look for additional oil flows in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. This comes as the UK struggles to grapple with high energy prices and looks for alternative energy sources to reduce reliance on Russian barrels. Johnson will meet with the Crown Prince of the UAE before heading to Saudi Arabia to talk to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Johnson also expected to discuss the kingdom's human rights issues as well, at least according to his spokesman, after the kingdom executed 81 people earlier this week. And a quick check on what's happening with oil prices right now. We continue to see some stabilization here. Both Brent and WTI stronger. WTI sub 100 USD, but Brent holding on to that triple-digit handle. OPEC also flagging the Ukraine war and the high inflationary environment could add to demand concerns. Let's get you some analysis on the market. Amrita Sen is head of research at Energy Aspects. She joins us live from London this morning to unpack all of these issues. And Amrita, let's begin on this headline out of the Wall Street Journal and the suggestion that Saudi Arabia could be pricing oil in yuan. Do you see this as a symbolic political move, or is it a genuine threat to the US dollar's dominance when it comes to oil pricing? Hi to you.
Hi, I don't think the story has as much leg as we've seen in the media yesterday. You know, we've checked with our sources in the kingdom. Look, they've been considering accepting yuan for some time. I don't think this is new, and I don't think there's new momentum either. Because ultimately, if you think about it, let's say they accept something in yuan, but then they need to buy other commodities, which are still all priced in dollars. So what are you doing? You need to convert your yuan to dollars anyways. So I don't know that, you know, I'm sure that, you know, the sources on Wall Street Journal got it from somewhere. But when we've checked it with our sources, it doesn't have as much leg as, you know, some of the headlines are suggesting.
And of course, the Saudi riyal is also pegged to the dollar, which is another reason to think that the Saudis might actually be calling bluff here. So talk to me about the implications, though. If Saudi Arabia did indeed move ahead with this, it would be a significant geo-economic shift. But to a more broader level, what implications do you actually think it would have for the oil market generally, particularly in this environment right now?
I mean, look, the broader talk right now very much is that Russia will, of course, want to move payments away from the US dollar. They already are. They are accepting, allegedly, payments from India in rupees and China in yuan. So in general, this is kind of, you know, longer term, you are going to create some parallel currencies. We've already seen Russia accept payments in euros in the past. They have been diversifying away from the dollar, but of course, China and Russia together would want to move away from the dollar, right? Given, you know, again, given the political history and what's been going on right now. So yeah, it does weaken the dollar longer term. But again, I don't think Saudi Arabia is actively looking to moving away from the dollar. That's for sure. But that doesn't take away from the fact that China and Russia will actively continue to trade, and now more so not in dollars. And again, India might join. And these are, you're talking about huge volumes of crude oil then starting to transact not in USD, which ultimately does mean you will weaken at least the dominance of the USD in oil and in commodities.
Amrita, Boris Johnson is also set to travel to the UAE and to Saudi Arabia on what will be another push to produce from the West. What can realistically be achieved here when a number of these Gulf states appear increasingly aligned with the Russian position?
I think the trickier bit for OPEC Plus, not just the fact that Russia is a member, remains around spare capacity, that even if the group wanted to, they couldn't bring on that much spare capacity to the market. And I think that is ultimately what is going to be constraining them in doing much more. Look, our conversations with ministers in the region will very clearly say that they also don't necessarily want to bring too much oil now and then be left with very little capacity in the summer, which is when demand really picks up seasonally, because then what happens? Prices overshoot, and that's not something they want either. They are doing a very good job in managing how much they can bring back and how quickly. I think that's ultimately what's constraining them, regardless of all the headlines.